So this is it mostly. I did miss one item, but I will add that later. Hey y'all, APG Jamie here, and today we have second Saturday stash slash 7. This is an open collaboration. Information description box below. Y'all can join. Before, during, after the fact. All right. Let's see what else. There's a playlist in the description box below. Click that fancy phrase, show more to see more information. Y'all. So I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, not really. I gathered my stuff and I thought, okay, well, you know, my reply envelope's got a window in it, so we must use the window. It's like the envelope, depending on how you pronounce it, law. Okay? Okay. So, the premise of this open collaboration, all right, is for you to use stuff out of your stash and to more or less play along with some of the rest of us, okay? And this link, suggested items to use out of your stash, is brought to us by Lori. That's Paint Girly Lori, okay? She says postage stamp, an embossing folder, washi tape, a heart, a die cut of your choice, a business reply envelope, and cheesecloth. Now let me just say on item number 7, okay? Somebody did not get out the cheesecloth when they were gathering their things, okay? And they mostly forgot the cheesecloth until they were through filming and about to begin editing process. And they're like, well, this is just 6 things. I'm only counting 6 things. Where's the 7th? And that's when I realized that the word cheesecloth printed on the back of the page. So I remedied it. I remedied that, okay? And I went and got a little piece of cheesecloth and tucked it inside the empty envelope. Now, as you were watching while I was busy chit-chatting and looking at the list and junk, I was originally going to use that one piece of scrap paper. It had modeling paste, embossing on it, whatever. Anyway, you saw how I made like a little quick graphite carbon transfer on the back of the envelope so I could lay my paper in there and trace around it with a little stylus doohickey, okay, so I could trim out my window and get it pretty accurate. I mean, it's pretty accurate, you know. And then at some point I decided I didn't want to use that after all, so I went ahead and used my embossing folder on the other bits of green cardstock that I picked to use. Now for my die cut, I went with an on the edge die. It's houses, y'all. And I went with pink. It's a light blushy pink cardstock, Aleene. It's okay. It happens, all right? Because I thought it was funny. Little pink houses for you and me. Y'all. And the embossing folder that I used is one of those fancy 3D ones by Sizzix, and it's like, you know, computer motherboard, loololly, whatever that stuff is. The description box has a list of ingredients. Did I say that already? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm saying it again. Also, inside the description box is a playlist. If I didn't say it, I'm going to say it now, or I'm going to repeat it now. Your choice. When you click on the playlist, all right, please select the little thing that says, I think it's on the leftist side of the little pop-up box, it says play all, and that will run you through everybody that's done videos and or photographs, if they were put in a video format, I guess. It will take you through everybody that's been part of this open collab, which is why I'm saying, if you choose to do this after this is already live, because, you know, it goes live, which is okay. You can do that. You can send your link to pretty much any of the 7 hostesses, and they should be able to add you to the playlist. Okay? Okay. I was able to do that. What was that, back in April, I think. Anyway, anywho, so we're moving along, and I couldn't just use one postage stamp because I'd picked some up at an art junk store. Really, I don't know what else to call it. Anyway, and I got a whole little bag of them, so I had several to choose from, and I'm like, I like all of these, so that's what we used. I put 4 here, and then I'm going to use that 4th one, or the 5th one. It's got the aeroplane on it. We're going to use that too. Now, I know I am going to close this pocket app at some point, all right? Because I only want my stamps to show through the fancy little window that we went through all the trouble to make. So we will eventually close that up. And as you may notice, I did use a piece of that embossed with modeling paste thing inside the envelope window thing. So this is where I'm getting ready to close it up, sort of. And I'm going to trim that so that it will fold over and more or less flip-flop without binding. Sometimes you need to sliver out just a slight little wedge so that things will close without binding. And here I am evening up the little flap on that other side so that it kind of looks the same-ish, okay? Now, at one point, I decided to take the sticky off the envelope closure, okay? Because it's a reply envelope, so it's got sticky stuff. You lick it and stick it kind of thing, or you wet it with a paintbrush or something, or you just tape it closed, whatever. I took a damp baby wipe that happened to be sitting there, and I gently took the sticky off. You know, if you wipe it long enough with the damp baby wipe, it'll take the glue stuff. That's it, glue. It's, you know, the lick and stick glue. It'll take that off. So here I am with a piece of the green cardstock that I embossed with the motherboard 3D embossing folder. Okay? I've glued it on. We're trimming it out. Trimming it out. We fold and unfold and fold and unfold. And then, are we going to put the front on? Or are we going to, I'm just still playing. I still am like, I want to use it, but I didn't want to use it. I wanted to, but I didn't want to. Because I'm going to try to do a journal page. Okay? I tried that last time or one time, and it didn't quite work. But that's okay, because not everything goes the way you think it's going to go. And it's not always a bad thing. We got a really cool tag out of it. Anyways, moving along. I am using art glitter glue when really the tacky glue would have been, you know, my original, Aleene's original tacky glue, my favorite, would have been better because this is an deeply, mostly deeply embossed piece of cardstock. Okay, y'all? Now, to help keep your cardstock from, you know how sometimes it'll cut sometimes a little bit, or it will tear or otherwise crack sometimes. It happens sometimes, y'all. What I do is over there at my die cutting station, which is where I also emboss folder, okay, I have a little small mister bottle that has distilled water in it and a couple of drops of glycerin, okay? And I shake it up, and then I just lightly, people, lightly mist the cardstock I'm going to use the embossing folder with, and then I use the embossing folder. Then I totally let that totally and completely dry before I do anything with the now embossed card. Okay? Okay. I find I get a deeper emboss, and I wouldn't say it's 100% not going to cut, because sometimes that happens, but it really does a lot better for me, for the way I use embossing folders, typically speaking, any hoots. So I had out my silver tape, because, I'm using the motherboard embossing folder. So I'm like, computer's got shiny stuff in it, right? Right. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'm just going to cover up this part, because I'm not gluing this down, y'all. Anyway, I thought we're going to cover it up with silver tape, just because that's what I decided I was going to do with it, okay? Originally, I thought I would make a heart using the silver duct tape, but I didn't do it. I found some little teeny tiny metal hearts, and we will use those instead. So anyway, now we have our reply envelope is all nice and decorated up. Well, covered up, paper's covered up. So I put the airplane stamp on the outside of that. These are old stamps. They are lick and stick stamps, okay? And they were, some of them I think from the 1900s, all right, vintage. My husband saw that I used them, and he goes, well, did you check online to see if they had any value to them? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I did not. The value they provide to me is artistic. So now we're using our washi tape. So we've got our embossing folder, our die cut, and our washi tape, and our postage stamp. So that's 4 out of 7. Oh, the thing about the 7 is you don't have to use all 7 of them. You can just pick one thing and use that, okay? It's just a way for us to help challenge you to use stuff out of your stash. Okay, now this is the card that I just briefly showed there, like super quick. That's a piece of painty cardstock. There it is. And I thought, well, I want to use it because it's kind of rusty looking, and I don't know. I wanted to. Okay. So that's why I like, well, we're going to make a journal page because we're going to use this paper right here. And I'm like, okay, good. Now, I finally got out my Aleene's original tacky glue, so I can glue down this larger piece of embossed card, because it's a pocket now. Y'all saw that, right? It's a pocket. And I thought, well, let's put some of that washi tape here. And then at some point, I thought, well, we're just going to put the washi tape all around the whole page. So we did that. But this is the only part I filmed, okay? But I did it the same way. It's kind of narrow. Narrow. That's a word in Texas language. So here comes our little teeny tiny metal heart. These are little teeny tinies. Okay, I know they almost look like diamonds, don't they? But they're not. They're little metal hearts. And really, it looks almost like the soldering. Y'all know they solder stuff inside these motherboard doohickey things. It almost looks like solder. But it's little teeny tiny hearts, y'all. And I play around with them for a long time. Don't worry, the video's almost over. And I computer printed some stuff, because y'all know almost always do. And this one is like the new improved air melt. Okay? Okay. Here's a little envelope. And I have an email address that I'm going to put on there, where it says from, Now we're going to put these other two computer printed pieces on here. Because it's the new improved airmail. Okay? Virtually air free. Ah, y'all, it's instantly. You'll be able to read that more butter maybe on the photo montage, which will be coming up directly. So there, I'm just giving you a little flip through. See, it's empty pocket. Ta-da! Photo montage. You get the envelope, the houses. Washi tape's just for decoration, you know, motherboard kind of thing. We'll get to the other statement here any day, probably, maybe. Probably. There we go. Virtually air free, instantly. Actual paper not included as it is no longer necessary. You get it? It's email. It's the new airmail. Thanks for watching and happy art, y'all.